I'm upstairs. I know I don't.
I love it. I did everything on Black Friday, waiting, I had money in the budget. Very nice. Like a sheet. Get down really low. I ain't gonna hide much if you need my foot.
Yeah.
Remember your microphone. Yep.
Yeah. Two people can't get one, so we'll get it. Oh, okay.
Two people can't talk at once because the owl can't figure it out.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. If everyone would rise for the pledge of allegiance, I would appreciate it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. We have three counselors in the room. We have. Oh, thank you. I'm getting used to this. Good evening, everyone. We have counselors present. We have Jeff joining us from Zoom, and Jessica will not be joining us this evening. Her child is performing in the Nutcracker across the street. So that's what we have going on this evening. Sorry. So our first order of business is to hold a public hearing for our vehicles and traffic ordinance, specifically the section pertaining to penalties and fines. I don't know, Tim or Chief, if there's any kind of like context or a setup that we want to have for this before we open it up to public comment.
Yes, so this was a request from the chief through myself to repeal and update the parking fines. We did find later on that after we reviewed it the way back, the clerk found it way back in the back of the ordinance, it does offer a penalty of $20. However, in conferring with legal counsel, he said simply what we need to do is simply say that we're going to repeal the language in 130-33, both A and B, and replace it with this. That's the order we gotta change. There was no need to cancel the public hearing and reschedule because we had changed the body of the content. So at this point it's that, Chief, would you please speak? I'll put that on. As to why you chose this and that's. Right now. Gus.
Good evening. The reason why I brought this up originally was, is a couple fold here. The original one was we had initially, we've been charging $20 for parking tickets back in the day for winter parking ban or anything else. Handicap was preset. However, our previous administration was having us use a different fine. So what I'm trying to do is make this a definitive that the officers will be promoting all ticket fines to be $50, except for handicap, which will be $200. And the problem we had previously was when someone did not pay, there was no really way in order to make that person pay. So we have hundreds of tickets that are unpaid that we are unable to bring to the courts or Bureau of Motor Vehicles to have some kind of penalty for not paying. With the current, with the new language, we're looking to, if someone doesn't pay, they will then have their license suspended by the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, and or we could take it to the courts after that. That's what we're looking to do.
Okay. All right, so it seems like in summary, the previous ordinance was $20 per violation. We're now increasing that to $50, but $200 for handicaps.
Yeah, because the ordinance already states 200.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay. Any clarifying questions from the council?
I have one because, sorry.
Go ahead.
I have one because I know we're gonna be asked.
Yeah.
The people, the hundreds, a couple hundred we have in backlog. Obviously, the ordinance doesn't go backwards, but are we
Correct.
gonna wipe the log so we don't have to deal with it, or are you gonna leave it there?
It's still gonna be open in our system. If they come in and pay it, they will still get their full receipt. However, yeah, I'm not gonna be going back to those
Okay.
because there was nothing for us to be able to do.
Yep, I just wanna make sure, because I know gonna,
Yeah, no, we're not planning on going backwards.
thank you.
So it's a go forward,
Correct.
approach, okay. All right, any other questions from the council? I'd like to open up to the public. Does anyone have any, public comments on the ordinance changes for, essentially parking tickets? Go ahead. Can you just state your name and your address? You know the.
I know the drill. Tamara Steinhauer, Hill Drive. My question, I know from hundreds of postings on the bulletin, we do not keep the revenue from moving violations in town. Is that true also for the parking?
No, parking tickets.
Stay
with the
here.
town, Yes.
Thank you.
Any other, my computer's restarting. Any other public comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead, Jeff, sorry.
just, we had received an email.
Yeah.
Jeff?
Sam is gonna,
Okay,
thanks, Jeff.
Testing.
Yep.
Hello, Sam Flinkstrom with 380 Main Street. As Jeff said, I sent these an email. I'm totally in support of the intent of the ordinance change. Just some suggestions to hopefully help enforce it once this does go through to make it less ambiguous to what the draft language was. If it could be clarified whether the proposed timeframes are calendar days versus working days. I looked in the definitions and I didn't see a definition for working days, and I know in one point it does mention working days, so my suggestion would be to change everything to calendar days since it's sort of cut and dry. My second question or suggestion would be to clarify whether the second time frame, which is when it increases to $75, whether that runs concurrent to the first time frame or whether it starts after the first time frame has lapsed. I have no preference on the dates, but I did list some dates in here, and then third, the word refusal, I personally think is a little ambiguous, so I suggest using more definitive and concrete wording that answers the question, what action must occur within the prescribed time frame? And I exemplified here, it just says, for example, if full payment's not received or postmarked within 14 calendar days from the date shown on the violation, the imposed fine will increase to $75. And I go on. Another suggestion would be to indicate in the ordinance, why the BMV would be contacted, which the chief already did, but I think it would be useful to have it in the ordinance. So if someone were looking up to know what the response would be if they don't, comply, they don't need to reach out to ask somebody, and it's sort of right there. And then I know 130-33B isn't being amended, but it refers to, or it mentions being referred to the court after 5 working days. And that seemed a little inconsistent to me, considering the 10 days that you have in the amended section to make your payment. Yeah, that's it. I guess my last comment sort of outside of this ordinance, but I know it's partly related to the winter parking ban. And I'm wondering if at some point in the near future, the fact that we have a everyday overnight winter parking ban should be reevaluated, considering perhaps that was initially put in place because the transfer of information to people in the town wasn't as fast as it is now. Whereas now we have the LED signs out on Main Street, a new LED sign at the police station, Facebook, and then also the e-notify alerts that you can sign up for on the town website. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have, comments on these ordinance changes? Jeff, did you have any questions or anything? No, okay. All right, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for vehicles and traffic ordinance at 6:11 p.m. And we have according to our agenda, our next order of business is at 6:30 p.m. for a public hearing on our zoning ordinance for accessory dwelling units, essentially, the LD 2003 work we've been doing recently. But I think we have to wait 20 minutes until we can get that one started. I'm wondering, Tim, if maybe this is a good opportunity, do you think we can do our quick executive session now?
Yes.
Okay.
We-
So, I'll go ahead and make a motion for
Well,
the,
wait a minute, hang
Sorry.
on. You're in a public hearing, so you're gonna close your public hearing, you'd have to open the town council meeting, correct?
Correct, which
Oh,
is not
and go
posted
into a
until
town council
after
meeting,
the
go-
public hearings.
Go to executive session, then when it comes time for you, and vote to pause the town council meeting, go into a public hearing, have that, close that, then reopen the town council meeting, correct?
no, I,
Well, it says town council to follow public hearings. So if you open the town council meeting now, it's a special council meeting that you do not have 5 signatures saying, yes, we can have a special meeting without a 24-hour notice.
So the answer is no.
okay.
We are waiting.
All right, so for everyone on the phone, we will have a weird silence for about 15 minutes.
We're gonna say.
It's gonna leave us in Christmas carols.
Yeah, we'll do some.
Have a happy.
So
Right.
everyone, just thank you for your patience. We'll kind of reconvene, I guess, at 6:30.
Thank you, Barbara. Oh, okay. There's no way out.
Okay, looks like we're at 6:30. Thank you, everyone. Hope everyone enjoyed the chit chat. Okay, so we're now on to our 6:30 public hearing, for our zoning ordinance, specifically around accessory dwelling units. For context, this is a body of work that's been going on for the past many months. So this all kind of comes down from some, changes the legislature has made, and the planning board has been partnering a lot with, SMPDC, Southern Maine Planning and Development Commission. Thanks, that was good to see. And Jenny, our code enforcement officer, has been, helping us with this ordinance a lot as well. And this kind of, I think, our kind of last checkpoint, on this work before we officially enact it. And we do have a deadline to get this stuff completed by the end of the year, so we're in good shape. Cut it close.
We're here.
Okay, so, that's the context there. Is there anything else, Tim or Jenny, that you would like to add, council, before we open up to comments?
I'm good. We've gone over this multiple
Many
times.
times, yeah.
I'm good with how it is.
Okay. Okay, anyone from the public have any comments, that they would like to make on this topic? Okay. Jeff, do you have anything? No? Okay. Nothing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all right, we will, close this public hearing at 6:31 p.m. It's 20 minutes. We're gonna get that figured out for a future meeting. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and get started with our, town council meeting. Roll call, Jeff's on the phone, Jeff goes across the street at the Nutcracker. We'll start off with approving minutes from our last meeting.
Madam Chair, I move we accept the town council meeting minutes dated November 28th, 2023 as written.
Second.
Thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, changes? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. And up next, we have the treasurer's warrant.
Madam Chair, I move we accept treasurer's warrant dated 12/7/2023 in the amount of $877,800.30.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any discussion?
There is a $752,849.08 District 35 school payment in this warrant.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor of signing the treasurer's warrant, say aye. John? or sorry, I'm so, like, this is so like scripted for me. Jeff,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Melissa,
Aye.
Mallory, aye. Motion passes 4-0. Sorry about that. Okay, reports and presentations, none tonight, right? None, okay. Public comment, is there anyone in the room that would like to make any comments this evening? Cameron, go ahead.
Mostly just, Tamara, 19 Hill Drive, Tamara Steinhauer. Just a clarification, are people who are zooming in considered present at the meeting?
If someone from Zoom wants to make a public comment, we require them to turn on video, state their name and address, just like they would be in person.
Okay, but otherwise, people could, I mean, it's pretty easy to just assume other identities. And so how do you know that those people are who they say they are, if it matters? And also have, and I don't need an answer right now, but are you considering maybe not allowing people to zoom in live? They're welcome to watch the recordings, but why still zooming?
I can kind of opine on this. I think there's been instances, you know, for example, it's convenient because this evening Jeff is able to participate. And I've certainly been on the Zoom end of things before, as has John. So from a counselor perspective, it is helpful to have that option. We've also had numerous times where Denise, for example, you know, she lives in Old Orchard Beach, and it's easier for her to share whatever it is she needs to share with us. Denise is our economic developer, so everyone else. You know, instead of staying here and driving all the way home, to be able to take those things from home. So I think that there's a number of conveniences that come along with it, but I totally hear you on the, how do we know who they say they are? And I think so far, our interaction with those from Zoom is generally always someone that all of us know who it is. If it's not the case, I think I would for sure say, you know, I'm unfamiliar with you, I need you to turn your camera on, you know, where do you live, et cetera.
Okay, thanks.
Any other public comments? Okay, before we move on, we did receive an email, for public comment that I'm just gonna read into the record. This is from Mr. David A. Sanborn. He lives at 11 Schoolhouse Lane, South Berwick. I have a copy for I can give to you, if you'd like. He was unable to join us this evening. I think his son had a basketball game. So his statement is as follows. The South Berwick Bulletin is ostensibly a private Facebook group and not an official channel for government business. In all actuality, this group has become the digital equivalent of a public square in our community, where many of us go to learn about town council and school board meetings, upcoming votes, the opinions of our elected officials on various topics, and important changes coming to our town. Despite its more humble mission statement, it's actually a fairly vital information source for those of us who would like to be involved in the democratic process. There are rules that apply to members of the group, but in my experience, the rules are enforced in an arbitrary and partisan fashion. Thus, it's concerning to me that one of our town councilors also serves as an administrator for the group, policing the free speech of the citizens who elected them and determining who can participate in the first place. I've been forced to use a secondary Facebook account in the bulletin for a few weeks now because my original account was blocked with no explanation, notice, or warning. Presumably, I broke group rules about the discussion of politics despite engaging in debate with another South Berwick citizen who was doing the same. I'll note that only one of us faced consequences for our actions. Similarly, sorry?
I do believe we're in a public hearing for zoning and accessory dwelling units.
No, we're in the
We came out.
council meeting, we came out of the public hearing. Thank you.
apologize.
Yep. Similarly, it's not hard to find posts from blatantly political entities like the South Berwick Republican Committee in the bulletin, despite rules limiting them to posting about their meeting schedule. More recently, one of my comments, a statement I saw as fairly tame, was removed from the bulletin. Upon reaching out to our town councilor for an explanation, I was told that my comment provided, quote, no added value to the discussion, which initially asked what people, the question that was initially asked was, what will people complain about now that the 236 stoplight is installed? After asking for fairness and an even application of the group rules, our town councilor then proceeded to block my access to the group again. I have no interest in relitigating internet drama. Instead, I'm requesting that the town council put its house in order. No elected official should have a hand on the tiller when it comes to free speech in our town. No elected official should get to control who can and cannot take part in public discourse and decide that certain speech has no value. It's the sort of power, if that's the sort of power they want, then they should resign from the town council immediately. If, on the other hand, they actually wish to serve the citizens of South Berwick, then they need to stringently avoid the conflicts of interest that are inherent in situations like the one I experienced. Those are the comments from David Sanborn.
So I had asked the chair to make sure that was read, as we should read anything that comes to us from our constituents. We've had a very transparent leadership under the chair. She's been fantastic over the past 3, 4, 5, 7 years you've been here, 8? 6 in all her roles. That was written about me. Everybody should know that because I was an admin on the bulletin. I have clearly stated in multiple town council meetings and as recently as the candidates night, standing next to the chair, that my role in the admin on the bulletin has nothing to do with my town council role. I never answer anything as a town council on the bulletin. I don't put anything or answer to questions pertaining to town business on the bulletin. And if anything had come up, I always refer to the other admins. That's where I want to go with that statement. Nothing gets done on the bulletin removal for anybody without all the admins agreeing to it. So nothing is a one-on-one deal. This morning, this afternoon, I called the chair with the request that this be read. Shortly thereafter, about 1500, I resigned my position from an admin on the bulletin. I was brought up with always fight for when you're right, but I was also brought up to be humble and do what's best for the most. My position there, if it shined any light on the council, my fellow councilors, especially the chair at this point, in a bad light, is not worth what I felt I was doing for the community on the bulletin. So with that being said, again, I have stepped down from that. Obviously, I am not stepping down from the council. I've been here for 10 years. I'm going to continue to serve out my term. And at this rate, I'm probably going to run again because I feel what I do up here is vital to the town. I think I do a good job. I think I've been fair. And I think, again, this council has been that way. We have not been partisan. We've worked together well. And that's pretty much where I want to leave this. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the time.
Yes, thanks, John. On that note, I have a statement that I would like to read before we get going with the rest of our meeting, kind of piggybacking off of some of this other conversation. So this is my now second meeting, starting my third term on the council, and it's my third year as the council chair. My experience has been many things: difficult, rewarding, fun, boring, interesting, frustrating, time-consuming, and fulfilling. I expect more of the same throughout this next term, but I also very much anticipate that this coming year is going to be tumultuous, divisive, and stressful due to our state and federal political climate heading into 2024. I'd like everyone, both councilors and the residents of South Berwick, to remember that this town council is a non-partisan body. We do not run with a D, R, or I next to our names. Yes, of course, we may all have our own political leanings, but as councilors of the town of South Berwick, it is our duty to remain nonpartisan and act in the best interest of this community. As I reflect back to my first term on the council, I wholeheartedly admit that my former affiliation with the South Berwick Democrats and the Hate Has No Home Here campaign certainly helped to get me elected my first year in 2017. Since then, however, I feel strongly that my nonpartisan focus on what is best for this community is what has allowed me to return for 2 additional terms. Fortunately, remaining nonpartisan as it relates to council business is actually quite easy for us because so few of our issues are actually partisan. If I recall our most recent issues, for example, traffic and pedestrian safety or the future of town hall, these are issues that our residents have strong opinions about, but those opinions have nothing to do with party lines. The issues that come before us are very rarely partisan issues. They are South Berwick issues. Because this is a small town, there are partisan labels that are put on us because of our state and federal leanings, but rarely come up when we are actually taking action for our community. I say all of this because it is what I have known to be true about this particular council. We have a town council and a staff that have worked extremely well together and have created some great momentum to better this community despite our differences. I am pleading with everyone, councilors and residents, to protect this little bubble of harmony that we have going into this coming year. Let's serve as an example for the rest of our country. Let's continue to work together despite our differences and to do what's best for this community. One of the best pieces of advice that I've ever received was to assume positive intent. I received it at a moment when I most definitely was not assuming positive intent, and trust me, it was not something I wanted to hear at the time. But now when I remember to remind myself of this, it always allows me to approach situations with a much more open mind. The world could use a lot more of them. I have gotten to know each of our counselors well enough to say with certainty that each of them would not have gathered signatures to run for office if they were not interested in what is best for this community. At times we may disagree on what is best, but the intention of wanting to do what is best is constant. In those rare moments when we disagree, we have a duty to move forward with the majority decision, whether we as individuals like that decision or not. There's one thing that I know for sure. We all have a great love for this community. Let's remember that and assume that we are all striving for what is best for this town. In the moments when we as counselors are human and not perfect and we mess up, our intention is always to do what's best for the community. I ask that the counselors remember that the 5 of us are all here because we want what is best for South Berwick. And residents, I ask that you remember that the 5 of us are in these seats because we were elected and volunteered our time to do what is best by you. And most importantly, let's remember that South Berwick is so special and that we all have a great love for this community. Let's not let the toxic partisan politics get into the way of the one thing that binds us all together. Thank you. I'm looking forward to a great coming year. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we can get going now. Thank you all for your patience and your ears. Okay, unfinished business, item number 1. Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah, Madam Chair, before we start unfinished business, I'd like to motion or move that we move up new business number 1, main purge for firefighters. We can get Chief Hamel back to what he needs to do.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion in a second. All those in favor of moving new business number 1 up in the agenda, say aye. John, Jeff?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Okay, so we're on new business number 1, main purge for firefighters. Chief Hamel, thanks for coming this evening.
After that comes through me.
Yeah, thank you.
So basically what this is when we did the main first plan, and when they started the police department, they went on under, Plan 1C, the police department, which was the special plan. And we didn't have any firefighters, obviously, that were career full-time. So years later, the chief started full-time in January. So in reference to researching this through main PERS, if we change the plan now before we have a fully employed employee and go forward, there's no cost to us, and it's nothing more than this language change. And then we adopt the plan to add firefighters to it. It'll be the same plan for the firefighters as what police officers have. Other towns have done this all throughout. That's how they operate. In years to come, hopefully many years to come, the probably will be the reality of full-time staff at the fire department. And departments who have already gotten there around us, North Berwick, other towns, are finding that one of the draws is having main PERS as a retirement option to attract firefighters because the market's so competitive. The other downfall is if we wait to do this, and we have full-time employees, then we have to go back and pay from the time they were hired back into the plan. So right now, we don't have anybody hired yet. So my recommendation to the council is to go ahead and vote this change through, and Chief Hamel will start and be allowed to start under main PERS. We'll have a 20-year retirement, which would be good, and that's what most fire services in Maine have, is 20-year along with police. After 20 years, like me, get tired.
Okay.
That's really it, Madam Chair.
Okay, and just to clarify, the main PERS program that we're talking about is the Maine Public Employees Retirement System.
Correct.
For our employees, so. Chief, anything you want to add?
No, I think he covered it
Okay.
pretty well.
Okay, cool. Any questions on the council?
I have one for after don't leave yet. I have one for chief after. We go on this.
Jeff, Melissa, anything?
I do.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Sorry. The Tim, you were just mentioning it's full-time employees,
Yes,
but on the recommendation, it states that it's for firefighters who work 20 or more regularly scheduled hours. So
correct.
is 20 hours is a full-time firefighter?
No, 20 hours is what you can, in the state of Maine, what you can participate to the Maine PERS program, whether you're an employee or firefighter or police officer. But the key there is 20 or more regularly scheduled hours. So that's why reserve police officers can't do it. That's why call firefighters aren't doing it. So you'd have to be, for instance, we'd have to have per diem firefighters that were scheduled every Wednesday or Thursday or something, or Wednesday or Friday that had a schedule. We don't have any of them. The only one we're gonna have would be the chief, who's gonna be Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. So until you get a formally scheduled employee of 20+ hours that is paid every week and is on a schedule every week, it's consistently the same for more than 26 weeks, that's the qualification for that job. Does that help?
Yeah, that was part of, I just wasn't sure how that was all linked together. So so right now, the amount of people that would be on this as far as firefighters would be one.
Correct.
Okay,
Just one.
great. Yeah, and then also I'm not well versed in Maine PERS and stuff. Can you explain a little bit how that works? Is it like a company matched or a town match type of thing to, I'm not positive on how that works.
Yeah, general, go ahead.
The Maine PERS program, the town will contribute to either Maine PERS or the 457 plan. And so the employee has the option to pick that. The Maine PERS is a higher rate that would go to the employee. That is about 10%. For the special plan for police and fire, it is about 14%.
And so then how the Plan 1C works, Jeff, is after 20 years, so like for us, normal full-time regular employees, I think it's 25 years, right, Bob? It's 25 years, it's not an age to our plan.
I think it's 25 years or 65.
25 years, 65 for regular employees. And so for fire and rescue, fire and police, it's 20 years. And at 20 years, they can stay longer, but at 20 years, they get half salary after the 20 years. So, and the reason that they created and did that was because they don't want firefighters, police officers staying for 30 years, though some do. You know, it obviously increases the health rate and injury rate. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Any other questions, Jeff?
I don't think so. Thank you very much for helping me out.
Of course.
Madam Chair, I move we authorize Tim Pellerin, town manager. Oop,
Oh,
sorry. Didn't see him, Mark.
Bob Hamel, is that a hand raise?
I think it's a mouse.
Yeah, never mind. Never mind. There we go. It looks like your hand is up for a second. Okay. We're a mess tonight.
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, I move to authorize Tim Pellerin, town manager of South Berwick, to sign the amended agreement between the town of South Berwick and the Maine Public Employee Retirement System.
Second. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Tim, question for you. Is that the only motion you need from us, or do you need two motions?
I need you to read A into that as well.
Okay, we'll do B and then A.
Well, just make A part of the motion.
Okay.
So the retirement system referencing A, you can just.
I'll just forward. Let me start over, Madam Chair. It seems to be that kind of night. Take a motion that the town agrees to provide special plan 1C to firefighters who work 20 or more regularly scheduled hours per week and who are not seasonal or temporary for service rendered after December 31st, 2023. Service rendered from July 1st, 1996 through December 31st, 2023 for these firefighters remain under the regular plan AC, and service rendered before July 1st, 1996 remains under regular plan AM. I also move that we authorize Tim Pellerin to sign the amended agreement between the town of Southwark and the Maine Public Employees Retirement System. Perfect. Sorry about that.
Second.
Nice one.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Chief Hamel, not putting you on the spot, but do we have an update on the truck repairs?
Yeah, should actually be ready tomorrow. I talked to them late this afternoon. It's done. They had a couple electrical things they had to fix, but with any luck, we'll be picking up tomorrow night.
Nice, right on schedule. Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Chief, you're all set.
Okay, that takes care of our only item of new business. We'll move back up to unfinished business. Number 1, action on zoning board of appeals appointment. So at our last meeting, for which I wasn't present, the council conducted an interview for zoning board of appeals. And given that we don't have a quorum to vote on this essentially this evening. So we're gonna table this item until our next council meeting in January. So John, could you motion for that?
Yes, I did speak to the candidate. He is aware and what good with it. So Madam Chair, I move we take unfinished business number 1 and move it to our first meeting in January.
Would be January 10th.
Is it the January 9th, 2024?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion second. All those in favor, say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. And our last order of business is regarding the 2 topics from the public hearing, the zoning ordinance amendments and the traffic and vehicle ordinance amendment. So number 2, our first unfinished business is the zoning ordinance amendments regarding accessory dwelling units. As we touched upon in the very brief public hearing, this is something we've been working on for many months. We spent a lot of time working on this, and it is a requirement from the state perspective. Anything else anyone wants to add on this? So then I will make a motion. I want to make sure I get, I'll make a motion to adopt the zoning ordinance amendments to chapter 140. Because it kind of permeates throughout several different sections. Barbara, I'm looking to you, is that sufficient?
Regarding ADUs,
Regarding ADUs, thank you,
Madam Chair, point of order.
please.
I need you to request that be an emergency. It'll be
Emergency action,
emergency action because to get the time frame.
got it, okay, thank you. Okay, so, I'll make a motion to adopt the, zoning ordinance amendments to chapter 140 regarding, accessory dwelling units in the form of emergency action.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay,
Madam Chair.
yeah,
I would just like to commend our code enforcement officer, the planning board and the SMPDC for working extremely difficult changes. Our townspeople need to know that these ordinance changes, a lot of them were a forced hand that we needed to make through the state legislation, and they did the best to their ability to make it happen. The council in review believe what they did was fair and accurate and well done. So I just wanted to make sure that they got credit where credit is due. So thank you very much for that.
yes, thank you. All right, any other discussion, questions? Let's take a vote. All those in favor, say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. Okay, possible action on traffic and vehicle ordinance amendments. Thanks, Jenny. Thank you, guys. For this one, I'm curious what the council thinks, because I do think that, the comments from Sam this evening are relevant, for some of those modifications. I'm wondering if we should. Yeah,
Members of the council, I'd recommend that we table this till
that's
the
exactly.
January meeting and have me send it to legal counsel to, take the reference from, Citizen Flankstrom and see what needs to be incorporated to make sure the language is reviewed and corrected before we make a motion to vote.
Perfect, that's exactly what I was gonna suggest too, and because there's no time constraints on this is something we're doing, on our own.
And
Okay.
if I may,
Yes.
you may want to check if that's a substantial enough change to require another public hearing.
I will.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Barbara.
Barbara.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to table, unfinished business number 3 from this evening's agenda to our next meeting in January on the 9th. I guess.
Second, sorry.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion, questions? All those in favor, say aye. Jeff?
Aye.
John?
Yes.
Melissa?
Aye.
Aye, motion passed 4-0. We'll talk about that in a few weeks. All right, that wraps up all of our business for this evening. And Jen, it's your turn.
Town manager's report for December 12th, 2023, the highway. They've been picking up and hauling leaves on the last storm, only the north side of town needed to be salted. So they salted the south side of town. Right?
Yes, I'm good with that because it kept my truck clean.
Okay.
Nice work. Appreciate it.
Some of the millings were brought that we've had from paving, brought the bow landing to improve the parking area there. And at the, food pantry. Police department had 2 arrests, 11 accidents, 54 traffic stops. Also, a ground grade will be graduating this week from the academy, and in the beginning of January, he's gonna be deployed to the military until March. So it's successful that we're getting them out of the academy, but we'll be gone for 2 months of deployment. They recovered a stolen ATV over the past weekend, from a theft out of York. Fire department's had 16 calls the other day, and the total is 444, which is up from last year. Tank truck number 3 repairs have been slightly delayed, should be almost done, ready to be picked up tomorrow. If you just waited, I'd have given you that in my report.
You were standing in front of me. I'm sorry I had to ask.
Just saying. They're doing their annual turnout gear inspections being completed, and, this next week is the ladder truck ladder testing for certification for the ladder truck, which is an annual requirement by law. Code enforcement, 7 building permits, 2 plumbing permits, 2 violations was being investigated. We're working on address updates in the E911 system. For some reason, we starting to find a lot of them, and I mean like over 100 of them. But when the address comes up, it's not registered in the E911 bank, so Jenny's diligently trying to find time to do that right now, where things will slow down a little bit. Planning, 3 projects in front of the planning board, Sanville Estates, an automotive repair shop, and midwife clinic.
At the library, Home for the Holidays event was very well attended. They were writing letters to Santa, and they also had a jazz band playing. The back emergency door exit had been difficult to open. That has now been fixed with additional drainage added to keep water away from the door to prevent that from happening in future. Recreation, Breakfast with Santa was a huge success. Between the 2 seatings that they had about 170 people. Sessions of current programming will be wrapping up over the next couple weeks, and the new activities will be starting in January. Seniors had a giving tree for the Berwick Estates. All the stars have been taken and the gifts are coming back in. Mona is slowly getting everything ready to bring over to the Berwick Estates on the 20th. The community center will be closed for senior activities December 21st through January 1st. The seniors also enjoyed a country Christmas show in Damonsport last Thursday. assessing. KRT will not be starting the reevaluation process until after the first of the year. They've had a lot of vacations, and people out with the holidays, so they decided to just wait till January. Verna is also finalizing the state valuation report, and she is still waiting for the final updates to be able to print out the new tax maps. The town clerk's office, they had brand new carpet, they just got put in, last Friday, and Barbara's new desk got delivered yesterday, so we got rid of the petition, it looks very bright and airy in there, so they're all very excited. We have been doing starting second interviews this week to fill the open customer service position in the clerk's office. We also have Barbara's position, the clerk's position out there right now for people to apply to as well. At the transfer station, I'm sorry to report that the new baler has already broke down. There's a piston that had to be ordered, and we're hoping to get that fixed within the next couple of days, and that will be fixed under warranty. Economic Development is working with an individual who is interested in opening up a cafe bookstore on Main Street. The Downtown Revitalization Committee met last week, and the public engagement event is slated for Thursday, January 22nd. Finance, HR, safety. So I have had 16 business meetings and 16 staff meetings. That was in 1 week because I was on vacation last week. We are starting the initial budget meetings with department heads this week. We are also conducting the interviews for the customer service position in the clerk's office. I did that twice, sorry. We've had 12 people apply for that position actually, which I thought was a great response for the customer service position. Starting to work on calendar year-end duties. The IRS has a new rule this year that everybody has to do everything electronically, 1099s, W-2s. So that is a new requirement. In the past, we were under the threshold to be able to mail them all in. So it has been quite a process to get myself qualified to do all of this electronic information through the IRS and the Social Security Administration and whatnot, but I'm getting there. I am happy to report there are 0 foreclosures this year for the town, so that's exciting. As a reminder to the council, our Christmas party is this coming Monday at noon on the 18th. We will be having a door contest, which we have an additional door decorated today by the council. And we have the luncheon, that'll be at noon, the door contest, and we have a new gift giving game this year, if you wanted to participate in that as well.
Administration?
Last section.
I've had 7 business meetings, 41 staff meetings, completed management training on 12/7 for a total of 8 weeks and 12 hours for all department heads. Training included discipline and leadership philosophy, supervisory management skills, generation characteristics and management, town policies and procedures, workplace issues and discipline, workplace behaviors, and finally it ended with a DISC personality assessment of all of that. I have certificates, so when we get a chance to sign them, we can hand them out. So I think it was a great program. I want to thank Chief Ruger and Lieutenant Upton for, they kind of use this around the FBI Leadership Academy stuff that they got. And the rest of it, I kind of chimed in, and then we had Betsy here, so I think everybody, at least now, all the department heads are on the same page. They all know the expectations of us. They all know how to apply the rules, regulations fairly and equitably, and how to be good managers and leaders to the employees, which is critically important for our success. Had a couple meetings with the Sulphur reporter, one on transfer station. Meeting with the community center and the food pantry on discussions about having a community fridge. It's been out there, other communities have it, but there's more to come on that. Met and interviewed a candidate for the assessing technician assistant position, like Jim said, who's made an offer, waiting to hear back. But obviously we started budget meetings. I attended the first all-way negotiation meeting today in North Berwick. I want to tell you a little bit about that. So that's a consolidated town that we're doing. So we, the committee, we were looking for a long-term 20-year, 10-year contract with a 10-year supplement. We were told, all right, by Casella, no, they won't do it. They're all down to 5 years with a 5-year supplement, most they'll do now. So we got talking about trash. recycling. And a couple things that they brought to the table right off the bat, in the first negotiation. There is no market for recycling in America, period. End of discussion. It just doesn't exist anymore. There's a small market for cardboard. There's no market for plastic because currently the only good plastic that is usable is plastic number style 2 and 1. And for plastic 2 and 1, which is, jugs and clear plastic, stuff like that, it's cheaper right now to make it than to clean it and recycle it. And so they don't do that. Paper has to have the ink taken out of it, and it has to be re-dyed clear before it can be reprocessed and pulped. So there's no market for that. There's no market for glass. Very little market for metals. So essentially, us sitting there, the 13 towns who we're negotiating for, are looking for a good rate, but they said there's no good rate right now because recycling is gonna hurt what we're doing. And nobody has a good answer what to do with recycling. If the people want it done, the public wants it done, our public wants it done, the citizens wanna do it, we get that. But in a lot of places, we're finding out, and especially where Casella takes the waste, they're just putting the recycling into the garbage, destroying it.
So we were paying more for paper a year or two ago to have it hauled away, and it was going in the same hopper. That's why we stopped doing it.
That's correct. And the same with glass, and the same with, plastics, there's a little bit of a market, it's even right now, but he said with oil at $70 a barrel, it's cheaper to make new plastic than it is to repurpose them. So that was the first part of the conversation. Second part of the conversation, we really were talking about a long-term agreement because it's easier for us with budgets. And Casella, so they take our waste to a landfill in Old Town, and it's the only one in this lower part of the state, it's really not. It's central to lower Maine, southern Maine. Right now, the landfill in northern Maine has closed, and it's been closed for about a year due to DEP regulation. So Presque Isle and Caribou and all these other places, they have to haul their trash down to Bangor. And it's a 4-hour drive one way, then they have to wait and come back, and imagine their transportation fees and their cost. So, talking to Casella, the reason they won't go for long-term contract is the landfill in Old Town that we're using, that everybody else is using, that ended up with 800,000 pounds of municipal solid waste last year, is scheduled to close tonight in 2034. They don't want to offer any contracts further out than 10 years, because they said it's gonna, Casella has already applied, and DEP, they've already applied for an upgrade or for the state to come up with a new landfill. To move this, to reopen it, they're gonna do something. So they said, the reason we're not going out any further than 10 years, because we can't guarantee you where we're gonna put our trash container. And folks, that's a scary thought. That's just a scary thought, that's reality. We're not the only ones in this mix, but it's reality. So we're gonna entertain the next set of negotiation, we're gonna entertain a price from Eco Maine, and then we're gonna try to see if there's a place in New Hampshire that will take out the trash. So that's what we started with. We told them, we've given them our parameters. They gave us their parameters, which was just an opening contract, so it wasn't very good. So we're hoping to come in, there's some negotiations. Price of trash is going up, there's nothing we can do about it. So that's really piece on that. Any questions on trash? I'm telling you, we're all shaking our heads because people don't have, a lot of towns are having great struggles, a lot more cost factors than we have.
I mean, it seems like the only real way for us to make any type of impact here is for just us as people try to reduce how much we're using.
Right, so there are both federal and state requirements right now, or bills or requirement. I'd have to check with Tiffany Tiffany Roberts, representative, but there are bills that are trying to attack on how we package things in America, how businesses and corporations package, because they way over package. And that's been the problem. So way over packaging is a way to address the weight load and disposal load, which is what we need to do. So there are bills, both in, federal EPA, state government. But the state wants us to cut down on our municipal solid waste. But how? If we can't do recycling, how do we cut down on municipal, unless people stop buying stuff? Well, people aren't gonna stop buying stuff, right? So it's an evil cycle, but just to let you know, anyway, we're over negotiations today. Then we made an offer to the assessing assistant. I had several meetings with Dave and Jan about next year's repairs needed for the transfer station. And, working on a police union contract, and I Jen said the employee holiday. So I'd like to show you real quick. And there's no good way for me to show this. I'll do it this way, then I'll show you folks up there. So under here is the original plan that they did in early 2000s, the transfer station redo.
Did you on each one?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that one right there. This is the one that was drawn, and you take notice of this. That's what I'm gonna show you. So next year, we have already scheduled. See what I'm showing you? All right, so this was a plan done by the university students, okay? And we're paying attention to the kind of. So next year, we got all the pavement needs to be repaved, the transfer station needs to be repaved, and the concrete pads need to be repaved. So over the past 3 or 4 months, Jay, myself, and Dan have been walking through, and so we own the land to the left-hand side of the transfer station. Let me flip over there. We own this land. So we went to Chris Rubacker, who's our wastewater DEP person, and said, is this wetland, and can we put an entrance in here? Because we already own this. It's just a matter of putting an entrance in. So she did all the research and came back to us about a month ago and said, no, it's not considered wetland. It's wet. It's not identified as wetland. She gave us a proposal on how we could fix that by putting a basin in and a culvert. So I'm looking at this. So this is coming from town, going out of town, talking about this piece of land right here. So what we came up with was, we gotta pave this anyway. The pad, which is this way right now, is all crumbled. We gotta replace that pad. If we were to do this, and we've got money set aside for that, if we built an entrance here, which Jay would build, we could do it, put culverts and a basin in. And then repave it, and then restripe it to exactly what you see. So that we put a new pad in here, and these 4 blocks would be the metal bin, the wood bin, and paper. This would stay as plastic, this would stay as leaves, would stay as brush. All we would do is we take the trees out, put the basin in and fill this in. And when they come to pave, they pave this, they repave all of this. We would put this as a service entrance. We would close this entrance off here. People would come in 2 lanes. If you were going to house debris and construction debris would go up here, you drive up this lane. These are just regular lanes, so you would just pull up, very similar to what they had recommended. Stop in the queue, get out, and if you gotta put something in one of the bins, you put it in. You gotta put something in the tractor and you throw it in, get in your car, drive down to the plastic. If you gotta drop that off, go there. If you gotta go to brush, you can go here, leave, and then you drive out. All would be one way. We could handle about 12 to 15 cars in a queue. And the good thing is, so the price we've come up with for doing all this work is about somewhere between 90 to 100,000. We already have 70,000 in CIP for the transfer station repair, so next year it'll only be a small amount. Is this something you think's a good idea? Sounds good to you folks? Well, hang on one second. Let me show the public so you can see. Just so you, sorry, I apologize. So essentially what we do, we're gonna add an entrance here, 2-lane entrance. This will become closed off over the service entrance for dumps and tires and stuff like that. People would come in, if you got household waste, you go up here, dump your household waste. Everybody else would come around, we put a new pad and move these dumpsters this way onto this pad here. You come around and you stop in the queue, wherever you stop, if there's a car in front of you, just get out, bring trash. When you're done, now we need to do it, if you got a cardboard, you come over. Take it to this lane, drop off the cardboard, and exit out. The brush, you go there, you don't leave, go there. The idea is everybody would be in front of you, you wouldn't be backing up at all. Everybody would just be simply right in front of you. And then you just have to wait for your queue. Elliot does theirs that way, Kennebunk does theirs that way. A lot of them are doing it and we have the money to do it. It seems like a simple fix, so that's what we're thinking. So that we make this place a lot safer. So that said, I'm looking, what's your thoughts?
I'm good because it eliminates, the backup challenged
Yeah,
events that happen daily at the transfer station. I think it's fantastic that no one has to back up, back in, or back out in traffic. That's,
So that row of, where people park today, that's essentially empty now.
that would be, that would be, yep, that would be first. Yep, that would just be drop off stuff. They gotta drop something off, something like that, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think it certainly seems to be a little much more efficient. And
It's really the similar plan that's behind it, it's just not, so in this plan, the only difference, and you look at, what they did is they took all our electrical, they took all the plastic and the cardboard compactors and they moved them in the middle. That was the big cost, we're not moving them, we're just gonna put a pad move the containers. So that's the big savings, we can do this for about $30,000, we can put in the CIP budget the next year.
they were 4 undergraduates. This was their final project from UME, and they did a fantastic job on it, but it was not gonna be cheap to the way they proposed, again, because of moving all the electrics and the services. So that's fantastic.
We're just gonna leave the electric and the service stuff right where it is. Do you wanna see it again? Barbara looked at it 100 times, giving me 100 things. So this would be it, everything else would stay the same. But it would be easy to do.
I'm just gonna take a picture and send this to Jeff really quick.
Oh,
Jeff, I'm gonna send you a picture of this.
Uh,
You're probably not able to see it. Super great. Hold on.
Yeah, it's kind of there.
Can you see it, Jeff?
Oh, there you go.
Hang on.
Beautiful.
We're not technically challenged.
Oh, I didn't see the arrows. Okay,
I just texted you a picture too.
thank you.
There, I'm getting,
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I just got the picture too.
so, I mean, it's it's for a budget thing, but the reason I'm asking that if this is something you think you're in favor of leaning to is, obviously you'd have to approve in the budget.
Yeah.
But we have a very opportune time right now where there's no snow on the ground, that Jay can go start the ground, the entrance piece here. We can start doing some of the work here, which will put us ahead in the spring. So what would end up happening is the transfer station would be closed for one day on a Wednesday, sometime in late spring, where we would get everything done, we put the pad in, get ready to go. And then, once the pad's in for 2 weeks and hardens up, we get the paver and the striper ready to go. So the transfer station will be closed on a Wednesday. They come in on Monday and Tuesday, start paving, pave it, Wednesday, Thursday, they'd stripe it. Let it harden Friday, and Saturday morning they'd be open with the new traffic stuff, we put new signs up, and then all be open. So it'd only be 1 day of downtime, we can do this project, and it's well within the budget.
Yeah.
And it will make the transfer station a lot safer.
No brainer.
It's just, so consensus, I'm not looking for motion vote tonight, that's a budget item, but consensus, you folks in favor of that?
Yeah, I am. Jeff? Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
If we can bring back the swap shop too.
That's the end of the.
Or you just back you from the swap shop.
You missed.
I'll leave this up here if anybody wants to take a look at it, if they have any questions, so we'll reach out to you. So that's my update right there, that's really everything I have.
Okay. Good. Thank you, Tim and Jen. Council member comments, Jeff, you go first.
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Okay, done.
I just want to apologize to my fellow council members for the churn that I inadvertently caused this evening going forward. Hopefully that's taken care of. And if you're making cakes for your holidays, don't forget the library. I love doing this twice a year. The library has cake pans that you can check out. They have over 250 cake pans you can check out in case you're looking for a novelty cake pan. Short of that, we don't have a 26 meeting, correct?
Nope, we're not
So-
here until January.
Wishing everybody a safe and Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. That's all I have, man.
Thank you. What's up?
I just want to give a quick shout out to the Home for the Holidays crew, the parade and festivities that we had. It was the first time it was ever held on, one-day event, and, I believe, there was a Greg Olet, Jessica Sear, Mary Huzzy, and Alita Gavin were kind of the heads of it and had, a handful of volunteers, but it was best thing they could have ever done was, make it a one-day event, because it was amazing. The parade, the town showed up, they came together, the spirit was awesome. So thank you to the crew that put that together. It was just an awesome day in South Berwick. Another comment is, don't wanna talk about trash anymore, but I do wanna talk about parking stickers, for the, transfer station. A future meeting, we did receive, an email from a concerned constituent regarding, a little more difficulty for people that don't have trucks.
It's all taken care of.
Oh, it has been taken
I
care of?
already addressed it, all done.
Well, could you let us know? Thank you.
It's operations, I took care of it.
Okay,
He sent me the email too, and I took care of it the next day.
okay, well, alright. Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody.
All right, I don't have anything else this evening other than Merry Christmas, thanks for your patience this evening, thanks, we got a big crowd this evening, bigger than usual, so thanks everyone, happy holidays.
Madam Chair, this is not gonna be my normal motion I make at this time. I move we go into executive session pursuant to one MRSA 405.6A personnel.
And
Sorry, one MRSA, section 405.6D, union contract negotiations.
thank you.
My
Yeah, I got it
apologies.
right here.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jeff, do you want us to call you?
Yes, I will call him on my phone.
Yep, we'll call you, but do you vote yes? Okay, John?
Yes.
Melissa? Aye. Aye. Motion passes 4-0, we're in executive session.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you. I'll just shut off here now.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'll
we'll call
wait
you.
for-